What's up YouTube? My name is Caden and you're watching Gasset Garage. In this video I'm going to be basically introducing myself and what I'm going to be doing on this channel. I'm going to be telling you about all of my machines that I have, what I'm going to be doing to them, my future plans, all the specs on them, history on them, stuff like that. So I'm going to just tell you this up front. Since this is my first video, I've never really had any experience making YouTube content before, so you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit on the camera work, especially since I just got a new selfie stick. Still trying to learn how to use it properly. It's a self-balancing one. It's actually pretty neat. And also let me know in the comments what I can do better, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what you'd like to see, stuff like that. I'm completely open to criticism and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. This is the garage that I work in all the time. I've been doing this pretty much for about about 4 or 5 years now. And I've learned a ton over the years, pretty much everything there is to know about small engines and how they work, how they operate, how to build them, how to work on them. And I absolutely love doing it, and I want to share it with you guys. So to start things off, this is a pit bike that I picked up probably about a month or two ago, and I originally had a 1986 Honda 200 four-wheeler that I pulled out of the back of a junkyard for $100, and it was really junky looking, but it ran and drove and it was pretty fun. But I got rid of it just because I wasn't using it a whole lot and I wanted a pit bike. So I got this when I traded for it, and even though it's a Chinese made pit bike with a little 72cc engine on it, it's still pretty peppy for what it is. It's a SSR 70. It's a 4-speed semi-auto. It's got kickstart, no electric start though. No rear brakes, which is a little bit sketchy. The front brakes work, and really the only thing it needs right now is the steering joint is kind of wearing out, so there's a little bit of play in it and I need to replace it. But overall it's a pretty good little bike. I really like it. It goes about 45 miles an hour, surprisingly. This right here is my brother's Coleman CT200U EX, I believe it is. It's almost completely stock, other than the fact that I replaced the jack shaft with a clutch just to get a little bit more speed out of it. It's got a weird issue. It's like accelerating incredibly slowly and it just feels very sluggish. So I have to figure out what that is exactly. But it's a pretty fun little bike. This is a Motovox 80 frame that I got from my friend that he didn't need anymore. He originally had a 212 on it, and it was an absolute wheelie machine and kind of a death trap. But he just didn't want it anymore. He put that engine on something else. So I put this engine in it, which was originally off of this bike. It's missing the pull cover right now, so I need to get a new pull starter for it, and also the brakes don't work, so it's a little bit sketchy to ride. It goes about 35 miles an hour, but it's incredibly torquey considering it only has a clutch on it. Now, this bike I have had for quite a while now, probably about 3 years. It originally started out as just a completely stock Baja Warrior 200, and I have done a lot of modifications to it over the years. I first started out just putting a torque converter on it and degoverning it and putting a smaller rear sprocket on the back. And that's when I first actually got started in modifying things and how I basically got a lot of my knowledge. I then decided to put that engine on it, and I'll tell you why it's on that go-kart in a second. I wanted to do a stage 2 build on the Predator 420 that was on it, which is that engine. the reason I couldn't do it with the engine that's on the go-kart over there is because that engine is a non-Hemi, and they don't make stage 2 parts for the non-Hemi. So I had to buy the Hemi. You can see it's the Hemi head on there. And then I basically bought the stage 2 kit from Go Power Sports, put it on there. Thank you, Go Power Sports. It's got a billet rod, a billet flywheel, a big giant 308 racing cam, 65-pound dual valve springs, which were an absolute bear to put in, considering I didn't have a valve spring compressor. I had to make my own. And I also put a 34 millimeter round slide carburetor on there. It's not a Mikuni. It's a off-brand Mikuni, but it works pretty well. I think it's running a little bit lean though. I need to adjust it. And I got a uni air filter on there. I made this super janky looking fuel tank mount that looks absolutely horrible, but I mean, it ain't stupid if it works, right? And then on this side, I made that bracket, which is a whole lot cleaner to mount the fuel tank, because there wasn't really enough room for the fuel tank under there, especially because I couldn't get to the gas cap. But this thing is stupid fast and has a crazy amount of torque. It will try and wheelie on you whenever you try and accelerate. I'm going to have a video of me riding it soon, because it goes about over 60 miles an hour. So probably about 25 horsepower, and it is scary fast. Over here, we have my brother's go-kart that he picked up off a marketplace for 150 bucks. He just got the frame. And it's not running quite right now, so I bought a new carburetor for it. But it originally had, or when we first bought it, we put a 212 on it, and it was a little ripper because it would do donuts, it would spin tires, and it would go almost 40 miles an hour. And the suspension is pretty dang good on it too. I also made that seat for it, works pretty well, but this is a fun little go-kart. Now this over here, I bought back in January of this year. I'm not sure how many of you have seen this kind of quad before. It's not a conventional racing quad like a TRX 450 or a 400 or anything like that. This is a Bombardier DS650. And Bombardier is actually the predecessor to Can-Am. It turned into Can-Am. So a lot of people will call this a Can-Am Bombardier 650. This thing is incredibly powerful and very fast. It's got long travel suspension in the front and back. It's a 5-speed manual, and it rides completely different from a standard race quad, just because of the way the long travel suspension geometry is and the steering geometry. But it is nonetheless very fun to ride and very fast. I think it has like 45 horsepower stock. So this thing absolutely hauls butt. I'm going to have a video on it soon because I need to ride it again because I haven't ridden it in like forever. This over here is my Yerf Dog Spiderbox go-kart that I've been working on for quite some time. When I bought it, it originally had a 150cc GY6 engine on it that was kind of a turd. So I very quickly got rid of that thing and bought a 1980 Honda 2-cylinder motorcycle engine. And I put it on there. It was incredibly janky and all kinds of stuff, and the frame I built kept breaking and busting, and I just couldn't ever get it to work right. And the engine also needed a top end rebuild. So I was like, the heck with this, I'm just going to get rid of it. So I sold it, and I bought a Predator 670 along with a 780 torque converter. And I got that entire setup for 550 bucks. And the engine and the torque converter were both brand new. And I got it all as one for 550 bucks. So absolutely killer deal. And I had it on there for a good bit. That was the swing arm that was on there. It's upside down. But I am planning on keeping this engine, but completely redoing the rear suspension on it. I'm switching from a swing arm to solid mounting the engine to the frame and building independent trailing arms off the back of this go-kart. And to do that, I need metal. So that's why I bought this. This is just an old go-kart that was sitting in the back of someone's yard. I got everything on this trailer for $100. Go-kart, the Predator 212, and the original axle. And interestingly enough, it has a golf cart transmission and axle on it. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that yet. But I'm planning on basically just chopping up this frame and using it for salvage metal and reusing a lot of the bends in the metal because I don't have a pipe bender yet. I would like to get one soon, but I'm just going to use all of the pre-existing bends in the metal here to build the trailing arms. And I know some of you will probably be like, no, why are you chopping up a good go-kart? Well, this thing is obviously pretty neglected, and there's hundreds of other go-karts out there. So I'm just going to chop it up and just salvage parts off of it. And I will keep the front and probably the rear suspension for a future project that I will announce soon enough. So that's basically the plan for the Yerf Dog. One problem that I'm having with the Predator 670 when it was on the swing arm here was whenever I would go over a bump or go around a hard right turn, the engine would start to sputter and try and die. So if any of you know why that would happen, please let me know, because I cannot figure it out. It's driving me crazy. At first I thought it was the oil sensor, but it's like I unplugged that and that's not what it was. So I'm thinking it's something with the carburetor. So if you know anything about that, let me know in the comments. Oh, and then lastly, over here, I made a homemade GoPed scooter thing. I don't even know what you're supposed to call this. It was a stunt scooter that I basically chopped the back wheel off of and put a little 80cc engine on. And this thing is absolutely terrifying. It goes like over 30 miles an hour, and the brakes are very sketchy to use, although they do work. And having the little tiny wheel on the front is incredibly sketchy. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this thing, because I hate riding it because it's so terrifying. So that is basically the gist of what I've got going on here. So I guess that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and let me know what I can do better, because obviously there was probably a lot of things in this video that need improvement, like my camera work, what I'm saying, stuff like that. So just let me know what I can do better, what I can improve on, things I should do, things I shouldn't do, and also what you would like to see out of all this stuff. What do you think I should do to it? What do you think I should build? And what y'all think? That's it for now. See you in the next one.